Hello and welcome back to another Creative Live here on YouTube, Facebook, Behance and Twitch. Hope you enjoyed the last one. If you didn't watch it, it will be available to watch it on Behance on YouTube. So you can go back and just watch the live stream again. Today we are recreating something about something that is coming up anytime soon, and it's Christmas. That's right. It's about time you start making your own postcard animations and preparing all the animations for Christmas. So we'll dive into it. This is another image that I got from FreePic. Let me just show you then. So this is the image that we'll be recreating over here. We have all these items to recreate, and as done earlier, I'm going to do everything recreated here inside After Effects. You don't have to do this, actually you can just draw it or just bring it from Illustrator or Photoshop already if you already created this. But this is one way of just also designing stuff inside After Effects, because it can be useful for you to use to recreate designs inside After Effects, as we done in earlier sessions. So first thing is to make this oval, not oval but circular shadow, and as you can see all these mountains, and maybe we'll animate all these mountains, maybe creating the pines, will just make them grow, maybe rotating. Because if you see here, they're like a four-faced pine. It's not like this one. This one has more, but we'll do this one as well. And then maybe we can recreate here the star just glowing and shining. And we'll have to create some of these snowflakes to just follow down like it was a Christmas ball. So let's start by just using, as you can see here, by FreePic, another that you can see, it's not affiliate, but you can go there, and if you already know about FreePic probably, but we'll start this, and we'll start by just dragging this to a new composition. Okay, we'll start at the same way. I'll just lock the composition so I don't select it, and I'll start by creating the outside. So one thing that I'm going to create, it's with the ellipse tool, I'm going to recreate this shape here, and maybe it's around here, so a little further. Okay, so I'll have to scale up this a little bit, and be careful, this is not like Photoshop. You have to maintain the shift key to drag both, to scale both with the same proportion. So here now, instead of having a stroke, I'll just use the fill. And why I'm using the fill? Because this will work as a track mat for everything. So inside this, we can like copy this as a track mat. But instead of doing like this, I can actually, all the things that I've created, again, further down the line, like these mountains and everything, then I'll just gather them all together in one pre-composition, and then I'll do the track mat for this one, just to be hiding inside here like it's on this one. So another layer that I'm creating, this will be the track mat layer. Remember to put names, because you know, having composition 1 to 100, it's not too useful. But this is going to be the track layer. I'll just leave it there, and now I'm going to design this part here. So these shapes, I'm going to design them. I'll start in the middle. I could use from the middle and start like this, just drag a little bit to make the curve, and drag it like this. I'll imagine that it will have just a little bigger mountain over on this side, maybe like this. And you can do it so that we can animate like the mountains just drawing itself or growing. Be careful where you select the point. Now I'm selecting this one, and I'll create for this side and something like this around these lines. So now I'll just close the object. I'll just do it like this, like a box, and close there. Instead of having just a stroke, I'll change the contents of the shape. I'll turn off the stroke. I'll put the fill. So in the fill, I'll use this kind of a white, okay, like snow. So in the fill, I'll just pick up that color over there. It just has a little bit of green, okay. So this is one shape. I can turn off the shape so that I can just draw the other one without interfering. I'm doing all those layer mountains in the same shape layer. So I can begin from here and just drag a curve like this, just to have it like those curves, make it look more natural, like this. And now I'll go around, maybe around here, and then some curve around here. Okay, I have another one, so I'll just hide that one and start this one. I'll start just from the middle, because this way I know that I'm going to hit the correct lines. As you can see, these ones I'm dragging over there and recreating all of those. One thing of recreating like this, now that I'm going to put this point over here, I'll just click and drag. You have to be careful to see that the curve on the other side just shows up until you close it down. As you can see here, the line might not be perfect over there. You can just go back and turn the points down, just turn a little bit, and you can smooth that out. Okay, it's our third layer over here, shape 3, and I'll do this one, each shape that I'm recreating over here. You might want to change the colors afterwards. You can leave them all like white, like I'm doing here. Okay, it's about here. In this one, when I close, I'll give the curve a little more. And as you can see here, now what happened is I had this other point over there that it's actually interfering with that curve. As you can see here, it was too high. Okay, this is more likely to be nice. Also, what you can do is you could turn down the opacity of the layer, the actual layer, and you can see all the things that you're creating, just to see if you're creating exactly on where the drawing is. Okay, so another shape that I'm turning off. Okay, and there's 2 left. So this one, I'll just drag over there. Be careful, I'm creating a new layer. This is not what I want. I want to select the layer so that I keep creating on that one layer. Okay, around here. Right about here, and I'll just close it. Okay, and the curve, I believe it's okay. No, it's a little down, so I have to push up a little bit. Okay, and the last one I think is okay. Already drawn that one and that little piece over there. So I'll just create here like a curve and doing like this. This one I can just change like this. Okay. I have to zoom to see if everything is in place. Like you see here, it's not actually in place. I'm going to turn down the curve a little bit. This side is okay. So now we can change the colors of our layers. If we go there, we can even turn it off, and just with the fill, pick up the color. I'll pick up at the point where it's more greenish, like this, at this point over here. I'll just pick over there. Okay, this one is okay. The shape 5, it's this one. So the fill, I'll just select here. And the shape 4, a little over here. And even the third one, it's a little more greenish than the other white ones. So I'll just pick it over here. Okay, so if I turn this on, and don't forget about the opacity, you have to put it back at 100. And now I'll just turn on all the contents. As you can see here, you can click and drag to select all, and you can see them like this. What you need to do is now organize them by order. So let's say first comes the shape 1, then the second. I could have created from the back. This is actually the thing that I didn't do. And like this and like this. Okay, so now as you can see, we have all the shapes over here, and it seems like it's good. Yeah, we have all those shapes. Okay, so next thing is, if I want to make drop shadows, there's several ways of doing that. I could like make on the actual layer styles, I could do a drop shadow, but this, what we'll do is it will create a drop shadow on the whole layer, so it won't work like this. Okay, so the layer styles, for this to work, you would have to have all these shapes separated, not on one layer only, and we'll just delete that. If we go to the contents here, you can see that you have a stroke, a fill, and gradient fill, and maybe we could use some gradient fill to this. Maybe we could blur some out of some shapes. There's a lot of ways to do it. Actually, what I'm going to do, probably it's easier, is just to separate all of these layers. So I should have done that before, and I'll just make it like effect, or yeah, I'll just have to put this in multiple layers. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. So I'll make 6 copies of this shape layer, and now I have to delete on each of them. It's like I should have created this separately, but I already have the numbers, so that's what I'm leaving with. The shape layer 5, I only leave the shape and let the shape 5 and like this, because this way it'll be easier to do the drop shadow instead of having just blurring out stuff and everything. I'll just separate all of them. It'll be easier and faster to make it. That's the one thing you need to do. It's always to create faster. And shape layer, well, here. Okay, so this is pretty much about it. Now I can select all of them and just drop shadow on all of them. Layer styles, drop shadow on all of them. And now I have to rearrange also the order, as you can see here. So the number 6 is at the bottom and number 1 is at top. So I'll just put it back like that and just rearrange the order again. Okay, so now all of them are here. Actually the 4, it's on the size. So I'll select all of them and go to drop shadow, and I'll just change the angle so that they're up like this, the shadow, and the opacity of the shadow is too harsh, and the distance it's not too far from it, but you have to change the size a little bit. Okay, so if we go back and put this layer on top just to watch it if it's like this or not. Okay. Okay, the shadows are a little darker and a little not too long. So I can select all of them again and just go to the drop shadow and are a little darker. Okay, so let's turn this off. And the size a little smaller. Okay, that's about it. Okay, okay, I can see that this mountain in front, it's not actually done well. As you can see here, you can select the curve and just smooth it out just to be exactly like that one. Okay, so we are good. Okay, now you can see that the mountains are done and with the smooth and everything. So now I'm going to recreate, and I'm going to recreate this one. It's going to be the track layer. I'll just leave it at the bottom, then I'll just bring it up. I'm going to recreate those outside masks like this one. You have one layer and a second layer, so it's pretty much the same thing as we did with the mountains, but you see here that one is in front of that one shape layer there. So I'll just recreate this one, and this one I'll be like this. Maybe I should zoom a little bit and make a little more points so that the curve fits better. Okay, I just put this too harsh and go back to this one, because you have more curves here. You have to put less points so that the curves don't influence each other. And okay, as you can see, I'm dragging too much, and if I put a point like this, it will affect the curve too much. So I have to put this a little smoother. Go back to this point. Okay, I have to turn off the stroke because I'm not seeing the line too well. It's not going to be exactly perfect on top of that one, and we want to make things perfect so that this is a whole drawing, it's done correctly. Okay, I dragged this one too much because of the image. Okay, and we can just now go around like this. You don't have to go around all the way because you know it's going to be covered by that, but this is one way of doing an animation like scaling. So I'll just turn off the shape, the stroke, and I'll put the fill. Okay, maybe you want to turn off a little the opacity so that you can just correct the line over here. As you can see here, some of those points were not perfectly aligned. Okay. Okay. So this one I'll just drag it a little upper. Actually, it has to be over here. Okay. Okay, so it's almost done over here on this side. This curve I have to smooth a little over here. Okay, and on this side, actually I have to drag a little more. Okay, and here, as you can see, we have an issue because of that stretch that I made so far. And this point has the curve, it's not too well and too smooth. Okay, that's it. And now we have to do the inside one. We have to change also the color. So let's go to contents and I'll just turn it off, and at the fill. Okay, now I picked up that color, it's nice. And the opacity, I'll put it back to 100. Okay. And this one, remember that this one is going in front of the layer 6. That's the one over here. And now what you can do, because of the shadows and everything, you can go at any layer of these shaped ones that you already have the layer styles, and you can just copy paste, Command C and Command V, or Control C, Control V, just to have that shadow also. Let's check. Okay, we have the shadow over here. You see that this is in front of that part. And now the other one that I'll be creating. And okay, so now I have to recreate the inside one. I don't have anything selected. Okay, and just start creating that one from inside. Again, with the issue about the curves, like this. And because we are not seeing the curve, but we have to just imagine that it has curves over here and another one over here, something like this. This one is pretty much over here. Okay. Okay, this one is dragged too far, and then it will affect this one too much. This side the same thing, and then the last one do it right about here. Okay, I'll just go around again, do the same thing, change not the contents. On the contents, change the stroke to the fill. Okay, as we can see here, now we pick it up. We pick up the color, and we'll pick it up that inside color. Put it back. This one goes all the way back. Okay, if we turn it off, we have the shadowing, and just we need to copy the layer styles also, because we're still going to have a background before this. Okay, so actually the color of this one I think is a little darker. Okay, so now we have to make the last one, just the background. And the background, I'll just use a solid, and I'll pick up that color. Okay, put it back. If we turn off, okay, this is pretty much it. I can see there's a little more shadows over there. The ones inside are a little darker, and I can see just some curves that are not too well. Okay, so I'll just go here to the curve, to the path, and just correct that path. Okay, this one is okay. See that the curve here, it's not fitting well. Okay, this one is also done, and okay, a little more curve over there, a little less curve on this side. Okay, I just made an error over there, and this one just okay, and over here, and this last point comes over right about there. Okay, so now it's corrected. Let's see again. Okay, I still have to increase some shadowing on the layer 7. That it's this one outside. I'm going to increase the shadowing so that you can see that the shadow is a little darker. So I'll go to the drop shadow effect on the layer styles, and I'll drag the opacity a little higher. Okay, seems better. Just a little more. Okay, yeah, this is good. We still have a change. We still need to correct a little bit that layer because it's not correctly done. And we're going to be really precise about this. Maybe I need to put another point over there. And I'll just bring this curve over here. I'll put another point over here that I can just correct this like that. Okay, just to give it a little, the curve a little higher. I like this, and goes again. Okay, seems good. Okay, it's still darker on those sides, a little darker over there. Maybe I need to, one thing is the distance. Okay, so as you can see here, the shadowing, because here we were putting the shadow up. On this one, we're putting the shadow centered because you have shadow on both sides. And if you see, when I turned off, it's going up the shadow, but it's on the side here, on the top, it's not going down as much. So this is just going back to the shape layer. And on the drop shadow, you have the angle and I have the distance, and I'll remove the distance. Okay, I have to remove that. And now you can see that having no distance, I just needed to put it a little darker. Okay, now we're there. And the spread, the size a little bigger. Okay, we're there. Just have to do the same. Now I'll just copy this one to the bottom layer, to the layer 8. So this way it's all the same, the shadowing. Okay, so on the layer 8, layer styles, I'll just delete this one and put again, I believe those ones are darker. Actually, you have to even put them bigger. Drop shadow here, I'll just put them bigger because as I can see, okay, now I made it too big, just less. Okay, and they're not as darkish as the other ones. So I could have done this with 3D and just put actual light over there, but they're less darkish as the other ones. Okay, maybe a little bigger again. Okay, I think this is pretty much it. We're almost done of drawing that. Maybe those two ones, the ones in the back, those two mountains, need a little more. So the 6, I'll just copy the layer style of the other one that I had. Yeah, it's a little better. And for the 5, also the same. I'll just delete this one and paste the one from done before. Okay, seems okay. So now what I can do is I'll just start drawing these pines. So the pine, as you can see, we have a line like this and like this and at the middle, and I'll just put one line at the middle like this and then go from the other side, and I'll explain why I'll be doing like this to create an animation. Actually, I'm using drop shadows for the animation. I could do that. I wasn't thinking about the 3D, but maybe here for the rotation of this, actually I can use the drop shadow also. I'll just animate instead of using 3D. So this is all background, and you could pre-compose all of this, but we still need to create here the shadows for the pines and everything. You can see these ones are on top, they're not hiding behind. So this means that like they're in a new layer and not on that one. So I'll just create the pine now. I'll select anything and it's going to be one line from here to the top, just a straight line. Okay, and maybe you want to change the stroke here just to, you can put it at 0 just to see the blue line of the drawing. And now I'll just create from this point over here to a corner, and maybe I'll just put another point over here and another one over here. You can really zoom in on this so that you can create actually this a little better. And now I'll make a curve like this one. Okay, seems nice. Everything needs to be curved. You can draw this later, or you can just fix later the curves as we done earlier on those sides, as you can see here. Now I'll go back to this one a little smaller like this. Okay, follow the same, don't do it like that. Okay, once the pine is all drawn, you'll see that it's pretty much really straightforward just to make the other parts of the pine. Okay, like this, like this. Keep all the curves smooth as possible. And here, I believe it's somewhere around here. Something like this. Okay. And now an angle over there and something like this. Okay. So I have my shape, and if you see your shape and if you put the fill inside this one, and let's put it fill. Okay, this is what we got, and what we want to do, make sure that the anchor point is at the middle. Okay, you can change the anchor point like that and just drag the anchor point over there. You can drag the layer point of the layer, and with the command or control you can snap actually to the actual line over there. Because what I want to do is, if you see this like this and you put it on 3D, now you can rotate on that axis, the green one, the Y, and you can rotate it like this. And you can see that the pine is going to fit the other lines. Maybe one is too stretched. Some of them might be too stretched because maybe the person didn't do with the 3D like this. Okay, as you can see, this folds up everything. You can make just the pine by rotating in 3D. Okay, you have the transformation over here and the transform of the position inside the content. You don't have 3D, you have the 3D layer. So actually we cannot do the contents of the pine all together. So we have to make a copy of this one. I'll make a copy. This one I'll rotate a little like this, like the other one was. And I'll make another copy. I'll just rotate again a little more like this. Okay. So now if I use drop shadows on these ones, okay, you can see that the drop shadows are doing the same as over there. Okay, so one thing we need to do also is change the color of each. As you can see, each one, the color is different. This one is lighter, this one is darker, You could have done this with 3D, but we'll just do like this. The content of the shape, the fill. This one is the one on the furthest, so this will be the darker one. This one will be the middle one. And the one on top. You can see you have a lot of layers, and it's really easy to have a bunch of layers here drawn. So if we just turn off, as you can see, we have our pine already there with some shadowing. Now what we need to do is just copy to the other side. Okay, so I'll just create these 3 copies again, copy all of them. You see that the order that you're copying depends on the order that you are selecting. So the 14 goes all the way to the other side, all the way to the other side. This one, I'll just rotate to this side, and it's pretty much about here. Have to leave the same distance, and this one over here. Okay, so now we have like this. If we turn it off and look at the pine that we have earlier, we turn all these layers off. Okay, you can see the pine is really actually they're a little closer, so they might want to use the position. You might want to like scale down this way and move it to Z. You could do it like this, okay, or just rotation. I'll just leave it at rotation, even if it's not like exactly perfect here on the pine. The thing that I want to do is I want to rotate all of this, and just grab the Y, and you can fold them down or just animate the rotation over there so that he will be created like this, and we can drag the shadows and everything. So I'll just drag this one on top again. As you can see, the middle is a little bigger. Let me just okay, yeah, because probably the person just dragged something like this, increasing the 3D. As you can see, now it's fitting. This one is I'm going to be fitted over there also, and the 10, okay, and the 9 is okay. The 10, it's almost okay. The 11, I need to squeeze a little bit also. Okay. Okay, this is more likely. Okay, the shadowing, I have to just increase the shadows a little bit, make them smoother because the shapes are smaller. So all of these shapes that I have from here to here, the layer style, the shadowing, shadow, I'll just diffuse layer styles, drop shadow, material, it's not the material you want to change, it's a drop shadow, and I'll put it not so darker, and the distance, just remove the distance and just make the size bigger. You see? Okay, so the distance is an issue because of that middle point. So if we put it like this, we're going to have like a shadow in the middle, and if you see the other one, it doesn't have a shadow in the middle. So what you could do is, for the 3 ones that are curving to this side, so the last 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 3, we're going to be changing the layer styles here. The distance, we'll put some distance. Okay, I have to turn that off or else I'm not going to see it. Okay, some distance. Where is it? Here. Some distance, but just enough to be just at the middle. You don't see shadow on that side. And the size, the distance. Okay. Here. And this is the angle. It's 90 degrees. And okay, distance. I have to. Why is it coming down? 90 degrees. No, it's not 90. It's 180. Is that it? Okay, 180. The distance is too far. I just need to put it just a little like that. And maybe the opacity just remove a little bit. Okay, let me see. Yeah. Maybe opacity even a little down. Yep, that's almost that. I'll just decrease the size a little bit. And the distance altogether. And the size. You have to combine all of this just to have it more like that one. Okay, it's even lower. The shadow, it's really smooth. Yeah, something like this. Maybe you can increase in the last one. As you can see, the last one, the shadow to the background. That's why with the layers using the 3D, you could have done this just by using distance between all the layers. So, but now I'll just keep using the drop shadows as we done. And on the last drop shadow here, I'll just increase the opacity a little and the size a little. Okay. So, okay, let's put it a little darker over there, like that. Okay. Okay, so now I'll copy the layer style of the 14 to the 9. Okay, because that's the one on the other side, the same. I'll just delete these layer styles and paste them. And I'll copy the same from layer 13 to the 10 and 11. Because those are the ones here. So on these ones, I'll just copy to these ones. Okay, paste. And the 11, same thing. One thing you have to remember is in the layer styles, the drop shadow, it's on that side. It's going to the right. So we have to change it to 0. So it goes to the other side. It's 180. And this one, it's also going to be 0 to go to that side. And the last one, the 9, also the same thing. Okay, so now we have our pine. Let's see which one is creating that shadow. I believe it's the last one. Yeah, this one is creating the shadow, so I have to put the distance a little longer. So I don't have any shadow in the middle. And just drag it a little over there. Okay. This one, I'll just bring it over here. And that one, I'll drag it. Oh, no, not this side. Okay. So the middle is almost feathered down. You already have the pines over here. And as we can see, it's coming together. Okay, the image that you're creating, we could draw this everything inside. You can see here now that the shadow, this one is much softer than the other one. It's because I was doing this size. Here the distance. Okay, I'll just increase the distance, and the size, I'll give it a little more. Okay, like this. Okay, so the angle, I'm changing the angle. I don't want to change the angle. 180, and the issue is the distance over there. You can see that the distance on that side, it shows up just a little more. Okay, that's about it. There's a little something in the middle. Here you can see that the one on top, it goes behind that layer. So what we'll do is now, instead of having all of these layers, we'll pre-compose this as the pine. Green pine. Okay, now we have that one, and we're putting the green pine behind the 6th layer. Okay, not the 6th. Oh, okay, so we have an issue because we're using 3D. Okay, and if you're using 3D, let me just go back. It's not this one, it's this one. Okay, when we were using 3D, you have like your Z layer and it was not hiding like this. But once you put it on a pre-composition, now it's not on 3D, and you can bring it behind that one with the layers. If you have all of these 3D, if all these layers were 3D, you have to work with the Z axis so that you have something further, not taking too much notice of the layers, the order of the layers, but still using the Z axis to make the distance from each other. So it's at the back, okay, and now we can create, for example, the smaller ones. We can just duplicate this green pine. Okay, so I'll just duplicate the green pine. I'll make a copy paste, and I'll change the name to white pine. Okay, I'll open the white pine, and this one I'll delete the middle ones, this one and that one, and I'll delete one of this here. If we look at the image again, you can see that maybe they only have 2. It's not, they don't even have those in the middle, so probably just one in the middle to make the shadow. Okay, like this. And now you can rotate on the Y, something like this. Or what you could do is just use these two and rotate them like a little bit like this to make a folding. Make a folding there. And now I'll just use the shadowing. Layer shadow, drop here. I'll remove the distance and I'll increase this to make a shadow between both, like this. Okay, so this way, now if I change the color of them to white, feel they're now actual white, and the other one as well. Okay, fill, and you have that little shadow in the middle. And what I can do now is just drag them. They're actually a little greenish, so we could make the green over here. I'll bring the white pine over here on the image, and I'll drag the white pine. Actually, I want to see that. I'll put it on top, and I'll just increase these. Okay, using shift. This one is probably the bigger one. Put it like this, and you can see that it's a little stretched. That'll be fine. Okay, like this again. Now I'll make a copy. I'll be using the same composition. This way I could just animate one and have them all animated. I'll make another copy over here and make it smaller. Maybe a little bigger. Okay. Another white pine over here. Okay. And the last one. This one is a little higher, like this. If we look at them, if we look at the image, most of them are like in the top. They're on top of the shadowing over there. So they're pretty much at the same position. What we could do is, because of the shadowing, so we don't have shadow on the bottom, if we look at them, the shadowing they're creating, it's going here on the feet. So I'll go inside the white pine and I'll just change the shadowing of this one on top. And you could even go transparent to see the shadow on both. And on the drop shadows here, drop shadow of the first one, you just drag the shadow up the direction. Where is it? Why is it not moving? Layer styles. Okay. Opacity. I'll just remove a little bit and change the angle. I don't see any changes because it's not going up. Okay, and this is what I want, like this. Okay, you see that the shadow is a little up, and here at the feet you don't see anything. And on this side I'll do the same thing. So I'll just give some distance, but I'll change the angle upwards like this, and maybe create some feather on the distance, not on that distance, on here the size. Okay, and remove the opacity a little bit. Okay, like this. Once you go back, now you don't have, if you look at the pine, you don't have the shadow at the bottom, and if you put them all on, you see that it's pretty much the same as we were doing there. I'll just put the image on top, and now you can see, okay, it's a little different. Probably the color, it's not, you have to put a little greenish over there. So what we could use is just make a layer effect on all of them. Layer styles, color overlay, and I'll just pick up this color here. Okay, now the color overlay went a little, it's too shining outside. I don't know why. Why is it glowing? Oh, yeah, I have to change the blend mode. Of course, I forgot about that. The blend mode looks like it's shining because it's also at the shadows putting white. So we'll do just at the color. As you can see, the color, well, the color won't be to screen. Screen again doesn't work. Yeah, maybe I'll just remove those layer styles. I'll just undo that, and I'll go inside the white pine and just change the color a little bit. Instead of being actually white, go back. Go back, no. I'll go inside and give a little greenish to the trees, just like a little bit. Okay, yeah, I'll just leave it on that one side, just a little bit. Okay, yeah, okay, it's cool. I'll leave it on just one side. Even the shadow, you can see that it's softer, and in the middle it's a little darker, so we could change inside the white pine. This one, we could change the layer style over here for the shadowing. Just take it more to that side. Just give a little more distance. Then you don't have as much shadow in the middle as like those images. Okay. Yeah, it's better like this. Okay, so we have all the pines created. Also, what we need to do now is to create the star. Okay, something has moved. It was my pine. The green pine has moved. Okay. So it's changing a little bit, but we're still going to animate all of this. Now we have to create the snowflakes. For the snowflakes, I'll just grab a snowflake like this. Or maybe we could... Yeah, maybe we'll just grab a snowflake like this. So I'll just go inside here, my browser. I'll just create a new window. Okay, and free peek. Just bring this up here. No, I don't want another window. I just want a snowflake instead of drawing them over there. I'll just use here another effect that it's really cool that you can do this. So let me grab just one. We'll find a vector. By the way, just let me put the free one. We have all these vectors, and what we could do is grab one of these. I'll download, even if they're not actually the same. This is an EPS file. Okay, download. Is it downloaded? Snowflake, okay. So I have my EPS file, and I'll go back to After Effects. I'll grab the EPS file. Okay, if you grab it like this, the only thing is you have a layer with all of that. Okay, so you have your EPS file, your vector file. What you can do now is go to create and create shapes from vector layer. What this will do is what we needed. It will convert the EPS file into shapes with all of these shapes that we wanted to use. As you see, this is really useful. Okay, now I can just delete all of them. I'll just leave one at random. Okay, it will be that one. Well, actually, let me give it like just 4 different, and I'll delete the other ones. Now I have this EPS file you can delete. You see that the EPS file here, you have all of those 4. 1, 2, 3. Where's the 3? The 3, no, the 2. I don't know what the 2 is. Oh, the 2, it's the middle of that one. I'll just delete it. That's fine. And I'll have 3 different ones. So you have 3 groups. Now we could use them for scaling them. Okay, and we have 3 different snowflakes. I'll just grab this group. Okay. It's not doing me a favor. Okay. That one is that size. You have to be careful once you're moving the objects, because it will do like this. You can have the path, all those paths that are merging. Once you're selecting the files, you might be dragging something like I did earlier there. Okay, you can see that if I want to move, I can move the snowflake altogether, and I'll just create 3 of them just to separate them, all the groups. On this one, I'll delete this one. Okay. Actually, I deleted the one that I don't want. Okay. Like this, now we can just use them, scale. And what we'll do, I have 3 layers. I could create a bunch of them. I could maybe use, for each, I'll use a repeater just to do the animation. Okay. In contents, I'll just add a repeater. This way I can just create a bunch of them. Even for the copies, you can see I can create a bunch of them, even scaling. And I'll use this repeater on each one. Okay, so I'll go back once I want to do the animation. I'll just rename this snowflake 1, snowflake like 2, and 3, snowflake 3. Okay, it's all created. The only thing we're missing out the star. But we have to start just animating this, and we'll bring up the stars and the text. Okay, let's just hide that. What we do now, like I said before, you want to make this inside of an object like this, like a white. So what we could do, you see that this shape here, actually it has some shadow also. So instead of just, I remember that we did this one layer. There was the size of that. What I'm going to do, I'm not going to use this way. I'll just create a new solid. I'll pick up the solid as white. Okay. And what I'll create is, I'll go back to the ellipse path. I'll convert this to a Bezier path, and I'll select the path, copy, and if I paste it on this, I have to create a mask, new mask, and then on the mask here, mask path, I can paste it, so this will work as a mask. This one I can remove. I no longer want it. I just want to use this mask over here and just do it like that, and increase the size of the mask. Okay, and the mask will be, instead of adding, it will be subtracting. Okay, subtracting. Now we have, if we put our image up here on top, we'll just hide it. As you can see now, it's like this. It's hiding everything. And one thing we can copy is, we go to one shape layer and just copy this shadow to this one. Okay, not to this one, sorry, to this one. Okay, so the shadow layer styles, now we'll do drop shadow, the distance, no distance, because we will have shadow all around. The opacity a little higher, not too much, and the size like this. Okay, let's see if it's similar. Okay, yeah, as you can see now, we have our shadow and our object like that. Our tree, our green tree keeps moving. We'll put it back in place. Okay, so we have our trees, everything is created, unless we haven't created the star. We'll leave it that to the end, the star and the text, and we have all our objects to animate. We could do it like this. We could just hide everything in one layer, because we have so many shape layers. So I'll just name these shape layers over here mountain 1, Actually, the one it's over here. Mountain 1. Two. Okay, naming everything will be easier to find each layer that you're using. Okay, green pine. These shape layers are what we're going to be calling them. It's the, actually I renamed the mountain one. It's not the mountain, and this shape layer is the, I don't know, background 2. The solid will be the background full, and this one, it's not a mountain, it's a background 1, and this mountain will be mountain number 6, not 7. Okay, I think we have everything named correctly. The white solid is the masking white. Okay, so now let's animate everything. Let's start with the mountains. Maybe we want to, I'll just hide almost everything. I'll just leave the white thing, and probably I'll leave the background 3. Okay, like this. First animation, we could probably use the mask. Okay, like opening a mask here, the image. So we'll do at this layer, mask path. I'll just drag this a little bit, and I'll create another keyframe. And on this one, I'll just decrease the mask from the center like that, just to a point of nothing. Okay, if you want it to be stop at the first frame, and you want it to be like no masking, because if you unselect it, as you can see here, actually we don't see, we put it at 0, so you don't see it. But if you want the first frame, you could use, just bring this one frame further and work with the opacity, just to be sure that at the first frame it was off. So our animation, we have this opening, as we can see here, it's already doing the shadowing. What we could do to work with the shadow also, because it will be greater like this, we could like put the shadow darker, and maybe even the size bigger. So this way, once it's opening, it's darker, and it will be brighter at the end. As you can see here, it's darker, and it will be open at, will be brighter. So once you're doing this, now we could work with the backgrounds. And for example, the background, this one, this is the first one, so I'll just select, and we'll use, for this one I could use just the scale. Okay, I'll just use this scale over here and scale it a little bigger, so it will come from outside. So like this is too fast. Maybe I could just, at the same point that it's growing, we can be creating that. And for the second one also the same thing. So the background 1 that is here, we could work with the background 1, turn it on. We'll use the scale. This is the final scale, so let me check the 2. Using the U key, you can select where it is, and it will start right about here. The scale will be bigger. Okay, so our animation will be something like this. Okay, it's too fast. Maybe we can just drag them a little like this. Okay, maybe we can work with timing, okay, so that the animation will be smoother. Okay, it's creating like this, and at the same point that this one comes, maybe we already have that mountain, the first one coming in, because it's at the background. So we'll work with position and rotation. So we'll press the P key and Shift R so that we have both options that we want to use. So at this point it will be done. At this point here will be done. So this is the final position. And from here maybe we could just move it over there and maybe rotate it like a little bit like this. Okay. So it's closing down from that side. And at this point we'll be starting animating each mountain. Okay, so we'll turn on this one because this one is also the same. So right about here we'll do the same, position, Shift R, so we get only position and rotation. And this is going to come from that side, and if we give the rotation you won't see that point over there, but you're already seeing it over there. So I'll just increase the rotation a little higher. So it's closing down. Everything will be closing down at this point. Now the other one, position, Shift R for rotation. For this, the same thing. It will be coming from here. Rotation over there. So our animation is coming along. Okay. Maybe now the other, each mountain. You could use like other transitions, or you could even, for example, on this one, I want to be rising up. So I'll just use the position for the last one, and here I'll just drag it down. So it's like this. And the next one will be this one. This one, it could be just, you could use stuff like scale also, because it will change the curve. As you can see here. And the last one over there. So this one will be position, maybe rotation also. We'll go about rotating over there, and the position from there. Okay, so now we have an animation coming along, all the layers. Now we'll have to make the pines grow, the white ones. Okay, we'll grow the white pine. So we'll go inside the pine here, and we'll animate inside here. And let's, okay, so what we'll do is maybe the anchor point will be over there, over at the bottom. Okay, so that we can increase using scale. We can increase like this, and maybe rotating also from the outside. Okay, so the animation will be something around scale and rotation, and rotation will be over here, and in the middle, in the beginning, it will be rotating from the back like this. It will give the sensation of just rotating, but also the scaling. I'll just scale it down like this. Okay, and the same thing for the other one. Scale, rotation. I'll just copy paste The issue with copy pasting is that the last rotation and everything, you see, actually if we do copy paste it's going to be a mess. So I'll just scale, orientation, don't forget about the anchor point. Okay, and let's do the rotation first. That make sure that it comes from the back, and the scale also like this. We'll scale it from 0, so just to make sure that you don't have anything on screen. So actually it doesn't look as good as I wished it was because of the scaling. Maybe we'll remove the scaling. Let me see if this works. Yeah, this can work. Okay, we'll just work with speeds, and this can work for the animation. What I can do is just not have the first layer something over there. If you see, you can see there's something over there. What you could do is just on the first frame, just delete. Just shorten the layers. So this way they'll do the rotation, but once they're stopped in the beginning, but that's not too much of an issue because we're just dragging the pines, the timing of the pines. So you don't have to do that actually, but we could do it like this. So if we go back here, now you can see if we turn all of them on, they're all creating over there already, but what we'll do is we'll set the timings. For example, once this one is done, we could create 2 pines, for example that one, and this one, they'll start here. And then once we have the second mountain, we could put this one here, and the other ones right about here. We'll just do like random, okay, so that you can have animation separately done like this. Okay, so you change the timing and everything is coming along with animation. Now we'll just work on those lines here. I'll just press the U key. Okay, we'll go to this orientation. As you can see, this is kind of weird. Okay, so you cannot work with the value graph. You have to change for the speed graph, so that we could change the speed like this, and we want to smooth it out at the end. Actually, okay, so I have 2 points selected. I just want to select this one and be smoother at the end. Just this keyframe like this. So it'll be fast. It'll be fast and smoother at the end. Same thing for this one. Like this. Now they open up fast and smooth at the end. So let's check. Okay. So even for the other mountains, I'll just grab all the mountains over here, U key, and go to the graph. I'll just select all of these, position, scale. I'll select all of those at the same time. Let's see if we could just work the speed like this. You have a bunch of lines. If we go to the speed graph, you have also a bunch of them, and you can select each by just doing like that and like that. You could have selected one each time. Okay, probably it will be easier. You have rotation and speed. This, we want to make them all smoother at the end. just not to be an animation too harsh, just faster at the beginning and slower at the end. Same thing for each one. Okay, there's a lot of layers. As you can see now, you're getting too many layers of too many things. Okay, some of them you might want to just zoom here just to work it better with that. Sometimes you select both layers. You have to be careful with the changes you're making. This is just about speed. Changing all the speeds just to make it more dynamic. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's see our animation. Okay, it's cool. So it's more dynamic. Actually, the beginning of the masking, it's not too dynamic. So the mask path here, I'll just do the same. I'll increase even higher. Okay. As you can see now, it's much more dynamic. As we are creating this, we'll do the same animation for the green pine. So let's turn on the green pine. Where is it? It's here. And we'll animate the green pine from the beginning with all of those rotations and everything. Rotation, just, I could actually do keyframes on all. Just to do keyframing on all first. Okay. So on each one, I'll just change. Now the orientation on this one, it will go from the back. Okay, like this. This one also go from the back. Okay. This one comes from the other side. And what we'll do with these ones is, if you look at the animation now, okay, I changed the animation. Okay, so that's not an issue. I'll just select all, U key, and what I need to do is, this is the first keyframe. You don't put it on top of the other one, and this is the last keyframe actually. So it will begin like this part and then create the animation. Okay, as you can see here, it's folding pretty nicely, okay, but we'll need to work on those speed lines. And okay, actually, if we select it all, maybe we could just do the same to everyone. Like this. And what I'll do is, for the middle ones, I'll just drag this a little longer. So the 9 and the 14, I'll drag a little longer. And if I go back to the keyframes, we could see that. And the middle ones a little like this. This way, you'll have them animating at different speeds, as you can see. Okay. Okay. So let's do this. So go back. Here you can see that the pine is starting over there. I want to put the green pine later. Right about that's probably a little further down the line. Okay. The animation is coming along. What we need now is just the star and we'll just grab one star again, or maybe we could draw it. Actually, we're up on half an hour and a half, so well, all going to do, oh, these spines, I just select them all 3D. I don't want them in 3D. And what I need to do is, instead of just drawing the star, I could have drawn the star, but I'll just grab a star here. Not this one. Star. Look at this star. Okay, so many stars that we have here. There's one there, really similar. Oh, this one is perfect. Yep, this is the one that we're going to be using. Okay, so we'll just bring that one. Golden stars, that zip file. Let's go here and unzip that. And we'll drag the EPS file over here. Now we have our little shining star. As you can see here, the star has like two shadows on the bottom. And because this is an EPS, we can go back and create again shapes from vector layer. Okay, now you see that it happens like this. You have a bunch of groups. And you could select the group on the back. The group on the back, this is one shadow, this is the other shadow, this is the group on the back, this is another group on the back, and now you have those shadows like that. You can see here that converting them didn't work as well. It didn't go too well like using this, so sometimes because of the effects that you're using on this, it might not work. What we'll do here, just to remove that, is just creating masks. It'll be easier for now. We could just edit them on Adobe Illustrator. Okay, this is a mask. Remove, subtract. And this one also. Careful with the point. Over here. And close it down, and this one is subtract also. Okay, we have our star, our shining star. We'll use the scale because the middle is right about there. We'll put it at the middle, exactly in the middle, and we'll do a scale and rotation. Let me just change the position also. This is the last point, so the shining star is at this point, the scale. Okay, right about here. The scale in rotation. And let me just close that off. Okay, it's not at the middle of our pine, so we'll put it back over there. And we'll scale it down and rotate it. To make another turn. Yeah, maybe we could not rotate. I don't like the rotation. And maybe we can work with the position instead. And because it will be like a shooting star, we'll do the position over here and on top, and we could make a curving position like this. Okay, and work with the speed of this position. We'll go at the line and smooth it here. Okay, even the scale, I have to work with the scale also. Okay, the scale I'll do it the opposite way, where I'll do it all scaling more at the end. It'll look like it's coming from further down and scaling more at the end. Okay, so maybe we could just drag this a little more. And the position also through here. Okay. Okay, so it's pretty much done. So all we need to do is just wish a Merry Christmas and have some snowflakes. So the star is also there. We'll call it the star. This one I have another one that I deleted, and this is just our reference. So we could use that. Actually, we could use, I'm going to use this image. I'll just use a mask, just not to get too long on this. As you can see here, I have the text. And if I use this layer, just the screen, well, not the screen, the light and screen, no. And it will be, okay, lighter color. Well, the lighter color over there is showing up. Yeah, we cannot work with this because, well, we'll go use an effect that is called levels. And if we put the levels here and in the middle, we'll just remove it. Now it's only the white. If you drag this, you can see, because now you have only the white lettering over there. Merry Christmas, and we'll do some animation of the snowflakes. Have the snowflakes falling down, so we'll put here on the repeater. We'll work with the position, a bunch of copies, and rotating also, and copy this repeater to the other ones. Okay, here and to that here. So we have a bunch. Where are they? We'll put it over here, probably on the scale. Go a little higher. This one I'll move to the other side. Maybe rotate them because I like this. So now we have the positions. We'll grab the position of every one and we'll put it here, and they'll start falling over here. Okay, and they'll end up falling. Actually, the last keyframe, I want to be them at the end, just going by. But these keyframes are all at the end. Let me change to the keyframes. Okay, so we have our animation. What we'll do is change the animation of the speed of some. This one will delete here, and this is here, this is here, and this is here. So we have different ones coming. Okay, so the last keyframe, I don't know why it stopped over there. and this one is over here, and this one is over here. If you want to keep falling keyframes, if you want to keep them falling, okay, so I have them stopped over there. So some of them are actually, I want them on top, so not this here, and this one at the first, it's here, this one at its first, it's here. Okay, so, and if you want to repeat this, you could just generate more. For example, I'll just pre-compose these ones. And what I'll do is inside of it, I'll just put the composition bigger. Composition settings. I'll just create, instead of 5, I'll put 15. And I'll just create, I'll grab more. Copy, paste, drag them a little here. Maybe play with the positions of some so that we don't have exactly the same position. Maybe just anchor pointing some of them just to change to this side and not be the same ones. Okay. Just random it a little bit. And 3 more anchor points. I'll just drag them here just to be in the front. And anchor points, I'll change these ones to the other side, this one to here, that one over there. So you have multiples like this, or you could have done something like maybe creating some keyframes or something. If we go back, okay, we have them all snowing over there, and after this I'll just blur the Merry Christmas. So the Merry Christmas, I'll just use a motion blur, not blur, direction blur on here. I'll put it to this side. I'll leave the amount a lot, and this will be the final keyframe. So like this, and here it's at 0. And what I'll do is from here to the beginning, or no, like at this point, opacity it's at 100, and a little lower it's over there. So something like this. It's not, maybe we could have write the Merry Christmas instead of doing this. And you see that the lighter color or the lighten, maybe you could smooth out that color a little bit. But this is it. Okay, so this is the Christmas card. Let me just check this. Fit. This is the full animation, just 5 seconds of an animation. And you have your Christmas card just to share it on your social. Alright. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me just change the perspective over here. Hope you enjoyed this animation. I'll just post this animation on my social networks. As you can see, this, as you saw, I don't know if you saw the other live transmission, it will be available for you to watch later if you didn't have the time, or you want to watch everything step by step. You just can go on Behance and it's there. I believe on Twitch it's there also. I don't know if it's recording everywhere, but they'll be around somewhere so that you can follow along and maybe create your own postcards for Christmas. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to leave a subscribe which platform you're watching, and give a thumbs up and everything, and I'll see you in the next one.